Hey everyone, it's Michael and Kylene from FWDfuel Sports Nutrition, your best resource for all natural sports nutrition. Fix your gut, fix your fatigue, feel better in your performance. And today we are going to talk about what is a food sensitivity. I know there's a lot of confusion out there. There's allergies, there's intolerances. Luckily we have an all-star here. And yeah, we're going to learn.
So today we're going to be answering your most common questions regarding food sensitivities, because yes, it is true, food sensitivity is different than an allergy and it's different than a food intolerance. And over the last 10 years of my career, food sensitivities have only become more common. And a lot of my job is helping people get to the root of the issue, helping them become less inflamed, live more of a life of vitality by getting back to the foods they love and repairing the gut. So that's what we're going to discuss today.
So, in its most simplest form, what is a food sensitivity and how is it different than some of the other things that are discussed out there like allergies or intolerances?
So food sensitivity 101 I should say, is an actual immune response. So a food allergy is an IgE response. It is an immune response, but it's more severe and it's typically more immediate. A food sensitivity it's not good. I mean, I don't want to say it's dangerous, but certainly nothing to brush off. So it's an immune response that's typically more delayed. Sometimes it comes on a few hours later, sometimes it could be a few days later, but the key to know is that it's typically a result of a gastrointestinal imbalance. And so I think I should also mention common symptoms. It doesn't have to be gut related. Sure, it could be excessive farts and bloating and pain in your stomach, but usually fatigue, joint pain, acne, eczema, psoriasis, extreme muscle soreness that lasts for days, sinus issues, headaches, migraines. What?
Is there anything you love to talk about more than like farts and gas and bloating?
Not really, no. I mean, I have professional athletes Snapchat me their stool because like that's how much.
Oh my god.
Because it's the window to the soul, and I can tell so much about what's going on with their digestion.
To the soul?
Mm-hmm. There's so much I can tell about or not tell about their digestion when I look in the toilet. So that's why I always bring it up, not to be crude, but because I want to help people heal, and that's one of the most efficient ways to do it. Just saying.
All right. So the next question I know a lot of people have are. Why are there some foods that I used to be able to eat all the time and now I can't have, or just if I have them I don't feel well after? And I've had this happen to me where foods that I've eaten for years and next thing you know it gives me a runny nose. So what's up with that?
So it's a good question. It's a very common question, and it goes back to that gastrointestinal symptom imbalance. So typically when you're born and you're born healthy, your gut lining is intact. The gut lining, your wall looks like this. All the little junctions are together. And then as you go through life and you eat a bunch of junk food, because who hasn't, and athletes especially tend to eat more sugar and junk than anyone else because they're training so hard. Again,
well, yeah, it gives you a free pass too, right?
No.
No, that is the time when you should try to eat even healthier so you recover, but we all think the reverse.
Okay. And stress and drugs, like not drugs, but Motrin, antibiotics, oral contraceptives, the list goes on, that can all tear apart the intestinal lining. And it's not necessarily that you feel pain when the lining is torn, but maybe you've heard the term leaky gut or intestinal permeability. Hyperpermeability is what they're calling it now. But anyway, it means that beautiful wall that was strong and intact is now suddenly kind of coming apart. And now food is coming through that lining, showing up at the bloodstream, and your body's like, what? This isn't supposed to be here. I'm going to attack it. I'm going to go crazy. And that's when you feel the fatigue and the headaches and the joint pain. And that's kind of how this kind of rolls, right? I know the story is a bit different for each person, but at the end of the day, the goal is to rebalance the bacteria in the gut and kind of seal back up the lining to help that person live a life again of eating normal food, if you will.
Yeah, you talk about different drugs and medications that cause an issue. It makes me think when I was in college and I played football at John Carroll University, big shout out to my alma mater, and I had shin splints, and someone at the time told me to take some NSAIDs, some ibuprofen 3 times a day. So take 800 milligrams 3 times a day. It's anti-inflammatory. Use that and it'll help you. And it kind of helped, but I had shin splints for 3 years. So from sophomore year to senior year, I took it 3 times a day, for like full 14 weeks. I know that's exactly when I started to get some of my issues.
For the record, you're the third former football player this week to tell me almost that exact story verbatim, so you know.
And I see, as a physical therapist, I see patients every day, and obviously they are frequently recommended NSAIDs, and I just probably say, well, you know what, take them when
turmeric and pineapple.
Yeah, try some. I recommend looking into some natural alternatives that aren't going to heal your gut, because so many times the medical community doesn't explain, like, hey, use these only when you need to because there are side effects. They can beat up your gut, they can tear apart the lining, and let's not rob Peter to pay Paul. Let's not take away the inflammation and give you a leaky gut.
But to be fair though, your doctor's probably not going to recommend that because this isn't what they're studying all day long. I mean, this is literally what I do for a living, is looking at gut lining and food sensitivity test results and studying food journals. And I mean, and I honestly it took me years to really get a good handle on this. So just so you know,
in all fairness, they don't have time to talk to you about everything.
Yeah.
They don't have time to study everything.
Right.
So that's why we have the blog.
That's why you have us.
All right, so what are the most common foods that people have a sensitivity to?
Well, you know, we talked about that leaky lining of the gut. Typically, most people react to the top 8 allergens, because, or at least the top 6, I would say. Corn, wheat, soy, dairy, egg, that's important too, because it's hidden in most of the foods that you're eating. You probably don't realize there's dairy in your salad dressing or there's wheat in your licorice. I mean, so many things, unless you really study the label, you don't know, especially the young athletes, the young children coming to see me. I mean, sometimes some of these kids are eating every single allergen at every single meal. Now, obviously, it's because they're eating processed food and it's in their frozen dinners and whatnot, but even the healthiest wheat bread may not be that great. I mean, read the label. So again, if your lining's already torn, right, you have that permeability, and all these foods, the same food over and over and over and over again is going through the lining and showing up in the bloodstream, of course your body's gonna attack it, right? It doesn't know. So that's kind of why we say that.
Yeah.
Now, you can have a sensitivity to any food on this planet, right? But that's why those are the most common.
Yeah, speaking of bread, I did a gluten challenge, aka it means you eat a bunch of gluten so you can do a test to see if you react to gluten. And so I went to buy some bread, probably haven't bought bread in 6 or 8 years.
At least, yeah.
And I spent probably 20 or 30 minutes reading labels because every single one was like 10 ingredients. And the store I was in, it didn't have anything in the freezer section. A lot of times people will say, look at Ezekiel bread, there's only a few ingredients. This store didn't have a lot of healthy options, but it did have about like 100 different options of bread, and there wasn't one that was like less than 6, 8 ingredients. It was like, oh my gosh, bread is like full of junk. No wonder why so many people are sick. Everything has so much junk.
It's true. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to shop these days. That's why some of my clients are in the grocery store for 3 hours after I give them a few recommendations, because it's hard to navigate a world where everything's processed, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
so tons of good information, and we do have a ton of information on our blog kind of discussing some of these differences. We have several posts you might want to check out. We have one on what is the difference between a food sensitivity, an allergy, and an intolerance. We have another one that explains food sensitivity testing and symptoms, and then another post just discussing the top tests out there. We also have a blog on food allergy or food intolerance, is that's what's causing your stomach pain. So I'll put links to those in the show notes. And
I think it's important to mention that you can heal. It's just a matter of getting the right help, right? I mean,
someone like you.
yeah, you don't have to live this way, feeling like doo-doo every day. So see, I said it again.
That's right. All right, so if you like this, give us a big thumbs up. It's a huge help in helping us grow this blog and this YouTube channel. And subscribe. We'll give you updates. Check out our blog at FWDfuel.com. That's FWDfuel.com.